it seemed so obvious to me that writing a book about my own rape would ruin my career. But then I got curious about it, and I got all the files, the complete file, and the police, when they redacted the files, realized that there could be a pedophile rapist still at large, and they reopened the case. And once they reopened the case and we realized it was a serial rapist of children, it became too interesting for me not to write that book. This strange response to fear that I had was very useful in my career. I worked on national security affairs. I ended up working in the nuclear weapons design laboratory. I worked in the Clinton administration and the National Security Council. And then I was writing on terrorism, but I got very curious about the terrorists, and it turned out that I was very good at talking to them. And I think one of the things I've realized about why I can do that kind of work is that I turn fear into curiosity. I don't really, or didn't really, feel fear when I ought to feel fear. Why today are we seeing such an upsurge in terrorism perpetrated in the name of some kind of distorted version of Islam? I think the reason is that leaders are able to persuade followers, you've been humiliated, and the way to overcome that feeling of humiliation is by picking up a gun. But I think that there might be something more to it. There may be that individuals who have been humiliated in their personal lives are more vulnerable to this message. There's a tremendous amount of sexual abuse at Pakistani madrasas. When you spend time in Pakistan, everybody knows about it. We in America worry, are these factories for producing mujahideen? But what people worry about in Pakistan is clergy sexual abuse. I also was hearing from returning soldiers returning from Afghanistan about Thursday night man-boy love nights when Afghan military and police commanders were going out and raping little boys. One guy came up to me and said, oh yeah, an Afghan military commander came up to me and asked me, would you like to go to the market? I'll get you a boy. And this guy wasn't gay. And I asked him, well, why aren't you telling the New York Times? And he said, oh, well, I'm with the CIA, I can't talk about it. They all have an excuse, which I think is really fear and pain. One of the things that happens to victims of extremely traumatic events, life-threatening events, is that often they can't bear to remember what happened. And when they themselves are in denial about what happened, and others collude in that denial because bystanders also can't bear to believe what happened, the victim begins to doubt his or her own sensations or perceptions, and the person really loses, in some ways, a kind of agency. They lose faith in their own perceptions.